What's up, everybody? This is your man, Dr. John C. Turner, aka the Professor JT. Dr. JT in the house, and I'm telling y'all, my apologies so much for being a little tardy because I had to have a Jesus party. I had an amazing time at amazing Holy Week service in the Beginning Fellowship Church here in Indianapolis, Indiana. My great mentor and leader, Dr. Jazz. She preached an amazing message, and I was so glad to be a part of that. But thank you all for your patience because I know this is a very important conversation, and we want to make sure that Doc Chat is happening. Now, let me tell y'all something. I put this out to a lot of doctors to have this conversation. Have this conversation about the upending that politics has done to education. And I didn't have one bite, not one person, nobody wanted to come and nobody wanted to talk about it because it's just that deep, it's just that emotional. And then also, a lot of people don't know really what's going on. So, as a doctor, as a scholar, as somebody that cares about educators, as somebody that is an educator, it's my job to teach and make sure people have the knowledge that's needed out there to understand what is happening in our nation when it comes to education. That is the purpose of getting the doctorate degree, that you're able to take what you've learned and be able to serve our nation and our world. And I'm so happy that we are able to get these doctorate degrees. We're able to be a blessing to other people. And that's what it's for. I always said when I got my doctorate degree, the bachelor's was for myself. I wanted to get that. And then I gave it to my mother. The bachelor's was for my mother. And she wanted me to go to college and get that bachelor's degree. So then when I got the master's for me, I wanted to get that because I love working with students. But the doctorate degree, that's for you. The doctorate degree is for the people. When we have got these doctorate degrees, we're able to take these doctorate degrees and use them for the greater good. And that's what we want to do. All right. And it's all right, Dr. Whitty, you're here, man. I appreciate you, Doc. You always show love, and I appreciate that. Appreciate you. All right, check out Doc Chat. Dr. Edwards, I appreciate you so much. So many great things are coming out of our conversation from last week, and I'm thankful for it. And hey, I appreciate y'all for always showing love. You're checking out the Doc Chat. This is an important episode. We're going to talk about why politics has upended education. Okay, so let's give a preface on where we're at. So let me get my screen pulled up here. And if you are someone, you can already see or say that thing is happening. Something is going on education-wise, and it is really frustrating to you. We want you to talk about that. I want you to comment. I want you to give perspective. I want to know what's going on. All right, so I have this up just to kind of give a little bit of preface on what is happening in our nation right now. All right, so these executive orders, we're tired of executive orders. We're tired of these letters, everything that's coming that is upending education. And what we're not saying, and it's time to say the quiet part loudly, it's hurting Black and brown people in a huge way. And so on February 14th, that's when we got the Dear Colleague letter. That's when higher education was told that they need to remove all DEI programs in order to keep their federal funding. And so now, NADOHE, which is National Association of Diversity Officers in Higher Education, they had an amazing judge in Maryland who tried to put a pause on that order, saying that it was not a good order. It was not right. And something that stuck out in that Dear Colleague letter that was frustrating to a lot of people was the thing that it stated the reason they want to get rid of all of these so-called DEI programs is because they did not allow space for white and Asian students to be a part of it. That was the most frustrating thing to read out of the whole letter, because if anybody knows, especially anything about Black and brown programs, we're always accepting of anybody. And so to see such language in such a letter. It was very, very frustrating to hear. And so as we move on, the Department of Education, that civil rights office, they wanted to bring a little bit more perspective on what, or what they call facts, were to point out what exactly is considered DEI that needed to get rid of, but what could be kept. And so that came out on February 28th. So you're talking about 3 weeks in February where it was up and down. Get rid of your DEI programs. No, wait, you can keep your DEI programs. No, you can keep some, but you just can't keep all of them. So that's where that frustration started out. So then we go to the next part where that particular judge in Maryland who had blocked that particular order had his order blocked, had his legislation blocked. And so then that allowed everything once again to move forward as far as getting rid of DEI programs in colleges and universities. And so then these individuals who were with the civil rights department in the Department of Education, they started to lose their job because Trump decided to dismantle the Department of Education and pretty much cutting it in half. So you have an entity that's saying you need to get rid of DEI programs, but nobody knows who's left of this entity to be able to regulate what you're getting rid of. That's where all the frustration is coming, because there are colleges and universities now that are making changes. Some have made changes a little bit quicker than others. The Ohio State University got rid of all their DEI offices and programs. If you look at West Point, where soldiers are and where they are going through college, and West Point in the Army, they got rid of all of their so-called DEI organizations that are on their campuses. Organizations such as, you look at from Purdue had Blacks in Engineering. They got rid of that particular program. They got rid of even programs that were for Asian students, which was interesting because you had a Dear Colleague letter that said that you can keep those programs for Asian students. So these are the things that are frustrating a lot of individuals right now, and it's hurtful because people don't know what to do when it comes to colleges and universities. So then it goes even further, where now K through 12 education entities have to comply with Trump's anti-DEI order. And now your K through 12 schools have to get rid of all their DEI. But this particular instant was an executive order that gave all of the states 10 days to either say we're getting rid of DEI programs or we're keeping DEI programs. That has really shook up the entire nation, because now you're talking about our babies. You're talking about looking at those federal funds that could be taken away, which could support free lunch programs, which can support after school programs, which can support even parents and helping them when it comes to food and assistance programs to help their kids as they go to school. This is where it's getting really dangerous, because we have to look at what DEI is. It's not a woke entity. It's not a black and brown entity. This is not what we are saying it is and what it is doing. First off, we have to really say this is some of our fault. When DEI came about, everybody was hype about it. Everybody was getting the certificates and saying they were DEI strategists and professionals, and they were doing DEI work, and everybody was gung-ho about it. And that really just pricked a lot of people who didn't like it altogether and say, oh, okay, so you're saying you're doing stuff for Black and brown people. You're doing stuff for LGBTQ people. You're doing stuff for even women. Well, all that stuff that you're doing now, that the administration has changed politically, get rid of all of that. That's where the problem is. We accepted what it was, when in turn, and this is key, if you don't remember nothing else I say tonight, this is key. We should not even have anything that's considered DEI, because everything that has to be done for our people should be done because it's the right thing to do. So if you have individuals that have wheelchair assistance that's needed, that need uh, bathrooms that are especially created for women, uh, any kind of birthing situations, all this stuff is DEI stuff, folks. This is DEI stuff. And this is where it gets frustrating because we don't realize we're trying to get rid of stuff that we need. Our people need it. And the thing that we have to realize is there's not a person in this world that doesn't either need something or have something that is needed on a DEI, what we consider scale, that is not going to benefit from these things if we get rid of them. Okay, so we have to really get to a point of understanding this. It's not about DEI, it's about doing what's right for our people in this world, in this nation. That is the key to all of this. And so, I think that was my last point. So let me pull that down. And so, what we want to make sure that we go into tonight is looking at the fact that we have a lot of individuals who are scared right now. And the thing that they're scared about is, how am I supposed to send my child to school? And I don't think they're going to be able to get the supports that they need because they're so quick to get rid of them. Now, take this for instance, too. Not one college or university has got their federal funding taken away because of DEI anything as far as yet. Even though that letter came out February 14th, nobody has got their federal funding taken away. Now, you might see Columbia, you might see Harvard. That's anti-Semitism. That's what's going on there. But as far as having a DEI program or organization, no institution has got their monies taken away as far as yet, their federal funding taken away as far as yet because of this. And so that's why it seems more as a threat than actually something that might come through. Now, the biggest thing that is starting to happen is you have the Ivy League schools that are getting attacked first, the schools that have the biggest endowments. And those schools are getting hit first for a reason, because they're trying to set an example for them. Now, the thing we have to realize too, the administration is trying to put a tax on endowments. Well, it's easy to tax the endowment of a Harvard, who has a large one, or a Princeton or a Yale, because they're Ivy League schools, they're private institutions. But they're taking all these challenges and they're making them happen because they're trying to get people scared. And here's the thing we have to be careful of, especially if you're at an institution. Be careful of taking away programs that are for the students that need them. Be careful of getting rid of those organizations that help your students strive, because here's what they want to happen. If they get rid of, say, a DEI office, or they get rid of certain DEI programs, students who are very smart and very resilient will start to protest. Now I have two reasons to get rid of your federal funding: because you're not complying with getting rid of your DEI programs and you're protesting on your campuses. That is where we have to be smart. Trust and believe, with this administration, the left hand is doing this, but we need to pay attention to what the right hand is doing. We have to really understand something. There is something bigger going on in this whole sequence of everything that's happening that's bigger than these DEI programs. Also recognize this: a lot of the so-called DEI programs that they want to get rid of are only anywhere from 5 to 10% of what's happening on the colleges and universities. And so you're trying to get rid of 5 to 10 to 15% of what's happening, and you're trying to do it by taking away federal funding for everybody. How does any of this make any sense? Because those 5, 10, 15% of programs aren't affecting your college campus in a way. If it's doing anything, it's helping your students actually stay on campus, especially the students of color. And so we have to get to a point of understanding this. What is happening to a small amount of us should not be the reason it's affecting so many of us. Because at the end of the day, what is happening is not messing us up. it's not messing our schools up. It's making our schools better. So say if you get rid of that multicultural center that you have on your campus, let's say you get rid of the uh, program that is for Black identity, or your Latino organization, you get rid of that one thing that affects those students, then those students, what's going to happen with them? What are you going to do for them that's going to want them stay on your college campuses? We have to look at something as well. When affirmative action went down, so did the enrollment of Black and brown students at even big prestigious institutions, MIT, Harvard, all these institutions, because see, now they didn't have that affirmative action quota that they had to meet. They didn't have to meet that quota anymore. All they had to do now is say, hey, we're going to take the best students possible, regardless whatever color it is. But the problem is, just like if we go into this MEI thing that's happening, this merit and equality and all these, whatever it is, they don't look at us a lot of times as having the work ethic for merit. What is it with always us? You have to be twice as good, do twice as much to get half of what they got. So yes, our students can come with the greatness and the education and the work ethic, but the thing is, they will sit here and say that's still not good enough over this particular student who we really want to come in. We have to look at the fact that too many of our campuses are trying to forget about us. They're trying to forget about the Black and brown student. And the thing is, if you forget about your Black and brown students, some of these schools will not make it because they've worked so hard to get so-called diverse campuses. That was your premise. People have changed bylaws and people have changed all of their different writings to go on diversity. So now you want to change that. Guess what? If you start changing all those type of things, you're going to lose your diverse population on your campuses. Some campuses cannot afford that. They absolutely cannot afford that. And so give me a second, as I got a couple more things I do want to bring up that's really, really important when it comes to what is happening, because we have seen Harvard lately. Harvard has said, no, we're not going to comply. We're going to stand strong. And there are also other universities and colleges who are saying the same thing too. We have to keep this work going. Now, I appreciate my good friend, Dr. Julian Vasquez Hilig, who wrote this amazing article just the other day, how some of these universities, they're saying, no, we're not going to get rid of stuff that we know is helping our campus and help our students, because we have put it in our bylaws. We have put it in contracts that we're creating. We have put it in our consciousness of our campus, and it has made our campus thrive. And one that was great to see was Indiana University Bloomington. And I'm a graduate of Indiana University of Indianapolis and live here in Indiana. So to see Indiana University say, we're going to start to take action against academics. You're not going to say we can only teach this or teach that, because that's going to affect our students and that's going to be frustrating. So to see a great school like IU Bloomington stepping up, and there's others as well, that means a lot. And also now we're starting to see even more states that are rejecting these DEI orders. We can't get rid of things that are helping our campuses and our schools in a huge, huge way. We can't get rid of these things because we have put too much work into creating them that has created sense of belonging, that has created safe environments for our students. We cannot get rid of these things because they're helping our schools thrive. And those are the things we have to realize. If we start to get rid of what is considered DEI, we're getting rid of what's helping our schools thrive. And we cannot have that right now. We absolutely cannot have it. And so I want to make sure that people understand this as well. When we look at what is considered DEI, and I have a particular picture I want to make sure I pull up because it's really, really important. Let me see if I can find it. But I want to make sure people have a thought and knowledge of what is truly considered DEI, that maybe there's some aspects of it that we're forgetting about. Maybe there are aspects of it that we don't understand This is truly what DEI is, because people do not know truly what DEI. They have just put it under this umbrella that is black and brown things. And it's way more than that. It's way more than what people realize. And that's why I was saying earlier, there are so many things that constitute of accessibility, that constitute of diversity, that constitute of helping our students make it in a world where it's hard enough to make it alone, but we need help to make it in any way, shape, or possible. And so hopefully I could find it, because it's really, really important type of graphic that I really want people to understand and realize it's what's needed in our world in an amazing, amazing way. And so many times people don't really understand the fact that DEI is bigger than just us. It's bigger than just black and brown people. It's all the individuals and people who need help when it's coming to go upstairs and they need those accessibility ramps, when it's going through spinning doors that are there as well, when it's going through particular areas that they can't get through because of metal detectors, and maybe they have something that's on their person from a surgery that they have to be careful of. DEI is bigger than just black and brown people. And so when I see somebody and say, oh, it's that woke stuff, they don't have a clue that they have an auntie, they have an uncle, they have somebody in their lives that the DEI entities are helping them make it. And they're talking about getting rid of it. And it's really going to hurt them down the line. It's going to hurt them in the end. You can't try to say, under an umbrella, I'm going to get rid of all this DEI stuff, not knowing what it is. That's why I'm so happy to see these states kicking back against all these different things. Because when you have these states that get rid of all these different things, you're affecting so many people more than you know. Okay. So trying to find this one right up. There it is. Good, 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 good. All right. Let me make sure I pull this up, because I want to make sure that people see this particular graphic, and it's really, really important. All right. So, and see how much I can zoom in on this. Okay. All right. So when you look at diversity, equity, and inclusion, you're talking about so many pieces that are there that are so important to so many different people. As I was talking about before, wheelchair ramps, restrooms with features for individuals with mobility challenges, even quiet rooms for decompression and prayer, screen readers. A lot of times when you have these closed caption capabilities, that's considered DEI. On-site subsidized childcare options, work accommodations for employees with chronic health conditions. I know people that need special mouses or computers to type on, special type of keyboards, all those different types of things. The ergonomic tools, like we're talking about, sometimes people need something for their wrist to be able to do their work, or they need standing lifts to be able to stand throughout the day because sitting so much hurts them. Access to employee assistant programs. When we look at healthy snacks and meals and work options, because some people just can't eat certain things. And so you're looking at all those different areas. Clear policies to address and resolve conflicts quickly. When is it getting rid of Title IX and all those different things that helps with student conflicts and conditions that happen on our campuses? Look at all these different things. These are important things that when you talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, you're talking about getting rid of all of this stuff. And that's the biggest issue. You want to get rid of all of this stuff, and promise you, there's somebody in your family, there's somebody that lives in your own house that you're screaming at, get rid of DEI, not knowing that it's going to be something that they're using and needing every single day, that if you say get rid of DEI, this is what you're getting rid of. All of these different things are considered DEI. And people are really putting this notion that it is black and brown, and that is not what DEI is. And so if you keep talking about getting rid of it, you're really going to hurt so many of the people that need any of these things. I mean, look even further, providing seatbelt extenders. Think about these people that get on these planes, and sometimes it's a struggle. Offering flexible dress codes for people. Some women, I know y'all love y'all heels, but some women just can't wear them. So if you're in a corporate environment where it's like, hey, you got to dress like this, or sometimes you need some type of accommodation to be able to do your job properly. Offering personalized career coaching or skills assessment programs, providing emergency preparedness plans that account for employees with various abilities. We're blowing our minds trying to get rid of the stuff that we need. That is the reason we have to realize you can take away the title. Okay, you get rid of DEI, you get rid of acronym, that's fine. But you're going to still need all this stuff. You need it. Our people need it. And they are struggling to now with our K-12 schools and higher education institutions to try to even think, wow, what do we have to get rid of that keeps us in the vein of doing the right thing so we don't lose our federal funding? That is what is so frustrating, because people can't afford to lose federal funding, and it shouldn't be waved around like a little string or a little treat for somebody for them to change something that is needed. People need these different types of things. Imagine if somebody said, oh, well, you can't have refrigerators in your offices. Well, for somebody that might have diabetes, might have a health condition, and they need their medication stored in a cold place, you're talking about ruining and hurting their health if you're not going to allow things like that to happen. We have to get out of this thing that DEI is black and brown. It is way bigger than that, way bigger than that. And people don't understand how many times you're hurting somebody when you say, get rid of DEI. You're telling your own family and friends to get rid of the stuff that's helping them thrive. Okay. And so I just want people to have a thought and notion and have the knowledge, have the education on knowing that when we look at what is happening in our world right now, at least in the United States, and we're having people that are saying you need to get rid of this, we need to ask, what are we getting rid of? And why is it so important we get rid of that? Because if we're just talking about programs for Black people, programs for Latino people, maybe somebody just needs to say that. But a lot of people aren't going to say that part. They're just going to call it DEI. And that's what's frustrating, because we know what people mean when they say DEI, but the greater good is starting to learn, because some things are falling to the wayside. And then we have to realize this as well. This is very, very important. This is not where it stops, because if we start to say we got to get rid of these black and brown programs, what about when they say, well, get rid of the LGBTQ program? What about when they say, get rid of the programs for women? Guess what? They're already kind of saying that, because that's DEI. And I don't want people to ever understand anything else, but just know this: it's bigger than what people are showing you. It's so much bigger. And do not ever just take it as what they're telling you is. Get the education yourself, get the knowledge yourself, find out what all of this really is. Because once you do that, you'll start to see there's something bigger going on here. Are people angry with Black and brown people? Are people trying to erase our history? Which we have to realize, we have gotten so much of our United States of America built on the backs of Black and brown people, indigenous, Latino, and Black. And to see so many times they're trying to erase that history, that's what is hurtful. There's a book called Ebony and Ivy that talks about how universities were created on the backs of Black and brown people. They would build these buildings for the people to go to school. Also, to where there were times where Black people, I don't call us slaves, call us Black people, that's what we are, would be the cost of tuition for white people to go to school. Imagine this, a white person taking two Black people with them and saying, here, take these two people. This is going to pay for my college for the year. That's what they did. That's how they looked at us at one point in time. But that's the problem. A lot of times they still look at us like that. That's what's frustrating, because we're more than that. Now we are doctors and engineers and lawyers and doing greater good in the community. Now, but here's the thing though. We've always been that. We have always been the people who have come together and have sat here and done the things that need to be done for our people. So it has to be this. If you get rid of any type of things that are going to help us educationally wise, we're going to find a way to educate our kids ourselves. We're going to make sure our kids continue to get educated. We're going to do the work that's necessary for our kids to get to the next level. And people still don't realize we had to create HBCUs because we couldn't go anywhere else. We couldn't go to any other schools. And so then once they started to see, wow, there's a lot of doctors coming out of here. There's a lot of great athletes coming out of here. There's a lot of engineers coming out of here. Why don't we bring these great students to all these other colleges and universities? Why don't we open up the doors for them? So if you want to close the doors on all the DEI stuff, you're going to lose all your Black and brown students. And they're going to go to HBCUs, which we have no problem about that. But the thing is, we're still going to educate our children. We have to make sure that we're learning what needs to be learned so that our next generation will be set up in a great way. And that's what we've always done. We've always done that. And so I want people to think about this as well, because I'm always about solutions. Anytime you watch the doc chat, we're about solutions. Dr. Turner, what can we do? What can we make sure we're doing? And so first thing we want to make sure we're doing is keeping your mind and focus on what is best for your family and for yourself. Protect yourself, protect your health, protect your knowledge, protect your family. Make sure they are taken care of. Put yourself and your family and the people closer to you in places where they are safe and secure and get what they need so they can be successful. Another thing is making sure that you're going to have to turn the TV off. You're going to have to get off TikTok. You're going to have to get off all this stuff because they're telling you this and they're telling you that. We need to get the real knowledge. You need to make sure that you have individuals who are feeding proper information to you about what's happening, because everybody wants to be this influencer but aren't influencing anything. Everybody wants to be this creator but they're not creating anything. You need to make sure you're getting great knowledge from people that are doing the work and they're actually on the front lines to give you the information that you need. And then another thing I want to make sure that people realize is that education truly is free. You can educate yourself. You can make sure that you're reading the proper books, getting the proper knowledge from the proper avenues, touching base with individuals who are doing the real talks and discussion, and making sure that you're getting that knowledge utilized for yourself. You don't really have to go back to school. I see so many people that, they're waiting on a DEI person to come or waiting on this DEI person to come. But the thing is, why aren't we just doing what's right for the people who are in front of us? We shouldn't have to have people come to tell us what to do in our organizations when we're the one that work in our organizations every single day. That's an important piece of making sure we're doing the right thing. I'm trying to figure out where all the people with the DEI certificates went. Everybody got a DEI certificate. Everybody. They was giving them away. I mean, it was Oprah out here. You get a certificate. You get a certificate. Everybody's getting a DEI. But then when the stuff hit the fan like it is right now, where are these people at? Where are they at? They're not having a conversation. They're not sitting up here and saying, hey, here's what's going on, here's what's happening. And that's what's frustrating, because right now, anybody who is considered minority in any aspect, basically that's everybody that's not black, white male, you're struggling in some sort of fashion. You're struggling, and it's hurtful, because we don't want our kids to keep getting hurt. We don't want our people to keep getting hurt. There are people losing jobs. There are people losing their minds because they don't know what to do right now, because stuff is coming out so fast and they just have to make changes on a whim. And you have to imagine having an opportunity, having something given to you every single day, but now because of, oh, we got to get rid of DEI, it's gone. There's programs for women that are gone. There are programs for Black and brown students, they're gone. There are offices for minorities that are gone in an instant. So when people were so reliant on going to these meetings and organizations and offices to get what they needed, instantly they're gone. What do you do for those people when everything that they were used and needed to have is gone? That's what's so frustrating about when somebody says, get rid of all the DEI stuff. What do you do for the people now that what they had in place that was helping them is gone? That's what's frustrating. And so as a wrap up, I just want to say thank y'all. Thank y'all for checking me out, taking time. Like I said, apologies for being late, but I had to get this conversation out. This is such an important time in our world and our nation. Great people become great when they step up in times of struggle. These are the times right now we need people to step up. We need people to not be afraid just to have the conversation. We need people not to be scared to just do the right thing for the people, because that's just what you're supposed to do. And let's make sure we're calling our Congress people, we're talking with our leaders, we're making sure they know, hey, what you're trying to get rid of, somebody needs that. Somebody's really benefiting from that. And if you take that away because you have encompassed it in what you considered as DEI, you're going to hurt a lot of people. And it's going to leave a lot of people in a place of despair, and they're going to be stranded, and they're not going to know what to do. We have to do what's right for our people, no matter what. That's the most important thing. I appreciate y'all for checking me out. Dr. JT, baby. Next week is our season finale, our final week. We have an amazing conversation. It is doctoral student self-care. I'm going to have my guest host, Dr. Michelle Rencher. She's going to come on. She's going to come with Dr. Michelle Need, and they're going to have an amazing conversation on how you can make sure doctoral students have the best self-care possible so they can make it to completion of their doctorate degree. I'm telling y'all been a blessing. I appreciate all the commenters, appreciate everybody tuning in, because this is what we do on the Doc Chat. We have the conversations that people aren't having, and we let the voice of the doctor be heard in our nation. God bless y'all. I thank y'all. Until next time, peace out.